a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs, right? And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of like, I'm a boss bitch, like I'm a this, I'm a that, no, baby, like, but you can't cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
Cam Newton comes out and says, you a bad B, but can you cook? And do you know how to be quiet? And the world went nuts. Social media, news feeds are going crazy. I think we need to bring this to the table and ask some questions. Is Cam Newton right? What was his perspective? Where does it come from? And are we trying to be overly independent as women because we're afraid that we don't have the stability and the structure that we need from men because we didn't have it from our fathers? I'm Dr. Torri J, and this is I've Got Daddy Issues. Today we're going to get into this conversation. Is Cam Newton correct? Is he right? I got my friend who I know is a man, like he's a man's man. He's stylish, he's put together all the time. I got my friend right here, Shawn Lovings. Shawn.
Torri, Dr. Torri.
Are we ready to have this conversation?
Well, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So here's what I want to go. Cam says, I come from a solid home. I had my father who's been married, 37 years,
36,
something like
37,
that?
Something like
30
that.
years. And my grandmother, so he has what he considers a village.
Right.
He said, I know what a woman looks like. Okay. And he's interrupted with, right? What does that look like? Don't look like I'm a bad. And we have this bad. Black women, these are us new women, some people call them modern women. We have some stuff pretty bad. I'm a bad bee, I'm independent, I don't need nobody. Is this new versus old generation, you think?
Definitely, I think it is. I think it has a place, and I think the new versus old in, well, first of all, that's Cam Newton's opinion. And
yes.
I'm one of those that, everybody has their own opinion, and we always want to question folks' opinion, but we can because you made it public, so we could talk about it.
Yes.
But the thing with that statement, those statements that he made, it was just like, wow, does that hold truth? In some cases it does, because as a black man of 51, I don't mind sharing my age. I think I look good for me.
Come on, somebody. Debonair. Yes.
No, but seriously, I think one of the things about that is that I came from a home similar to that, where it was mother, grandfather, grandmother, no father. But at the end of the day, I saw some of the leadership roles. But what I did see is what he saw. My grandmother was very quiet. She didn't speak much. My grandfather handled everything. She handled the bills, but he handled the rest of the movement of the house. And my mom was a teenage mother, and she was still trying to figure her life and balance out. Here I am just in the space. So I saw it, what he was saying. I kind of got it because my grandmother wasn't very boisterous. Granddaddy was. And she always made sure the home was taken care of. I was taken care of. It was great. But at the end of the day, that's the old with the new. And with the new, I see mothers who are raising sons without the father, who then has a daughter who pours more into the daughter than they did in the son. And then they get mad at the son for not understanding or not doing the things he should be doing. But you didn't position him around maybe a man that could guide him. Yeah. You may not have had an uncle or brothers. You may not, I understand that. But there are other organizations maybe you could have reached out to, because people do that with me. They reach out to me to help with their sons.
But wait, there's so much here. Look, let me unpack some of this right here. Let you take a sip.
Let me see.
Because this is serious. I'm gonna start with where you left off. Mothers pouring more into their daughters than their sons.
In some cases.
Let me be honest,
in some cases.
With the work that we both do, work with youth
yes.
in family structure, so we get this. Here's the challenge. They may feel like they're pouring more into the girls because it's what they're pouring into the girls.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I agree. You're right.
And I do believe they're pouring things into the boys, but it's also what they're pouring into the boys. I feel like we're creating more masculine girls because we're pouring that into them.
Yep.
And we're creating effeminate boys because we're pouring that into them. Too many mothers are creating situations where they want their boys to be the man that they dreamed of.
Yeah, true.
right?
Absolutely.
You're creating a shell of a man with the emotional mechanisms of a female.
That's powerful. No, it was. It's absolutely true.
That's what we've done. And so when you say that, I hear what you're saying, but I think we've created the girl who thinks that she is not in a partnership, she's in competition with her spouse.
Absolutely.
And so I have to be a bad this and a bad that, and I have to bring things to the table. Cam, he even says, I get holding your own and I got my own. Because as a woman who got married at 40, did I want to wait that long? No. But while I was waiting, I wanted you to walk up to my table and say, oh, she got that on it, she got that on it. And I believe that's what a lot of women are doing. However, how you present this, well, Cam is right. You a bad this and you, that's what you're doing. If they start doing that, she's a no. That popping and that neck and that hand going.
It doesn't take all that.
It doesn't take all that because there is a difference between a bad bee and a woman. A woman does handle her own. A woman can have her own.
Yes.
Cam does talk about catering to a man. That's when we get the rub.
Well, Beyonce and them did it first. I like how they did it.
Let me cater to you. That is a catering.
Absolutely.
No, that is a catering.
You know, I love that song. No, let me stop.
Our grandmothers that you're talking about, I'm unpacking that too.
Okay.
There was a catering. There was a silence. Was that from strength or was that from trauma? Is my question to you.
Well,
because you saw it in the home firsthand, so I can't answer that because I don't. Oops, I'm hitting. I can't answer that, so I want to know from your perspective.
Well, I mean, that's perfect because understanding later in life my grandmother's position of how and what went on in her family dynamic, because again, I went back to asking questions and understanding who she was, and leaving Louisiana young and coming to St. Louis with my grandfather and so forth. So she was young when she made that transition. So she didn't get all the education she should have gotten as well, but she was caught up in my grandfather's life, being a serviceman and all that good stuff and making a transition. So for my grandmother, she was every bit of what Cam said. She made sure I had a hot meal, he had a hot meal. I don't understand not going to work without eating breakfast first. I was raised that way. She cooked breakfast every morning. And dinner too. She did all of that and she worked. My grandmother was cleaning homes. That was her
definition of a woman.
Exactly. So she wanted to make sure her home was taken care of.
Is that Cam's definition of a woman? Sounds like it. Because he talked about the cooking and the being quiet.
Sounds like it. Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't think you'd have to make a woman be quiet. I mean, I think that was kind of far-fetched. I mean, I understand where he was trying to go with that, but for the most part, yes. He had his grandmother in the house. So his grandmother had influence on his mother. So trust me, she may have seen some things. I don't know Cam's lifestyle. I don't know how he grew up, but those grandparents from that era, they were built that way. The women today, even women when I was single dating, was like, they don't know how to cook. Thank God my grandmother taught me how to cook.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so I mean, I turned it into a business, you know, but for the most part, it was just, Lord Jesus, I've met so many women that didn't know how to cook nothing.
That's crazy to me.
I'm talking about they order out, they're specialists at it.
So is that a requirement for a man?
I mean, it's a requirement. No, it wasn't, because I actually enjoy cooking for my lady.
You're catering. Can we have that conversation too? Because we talked about catering to a man.
Yes.
But there is a place where
we cater to
I feel like if a man is catered to, he's catering to you as well. I think I feel like it should be reciprocal.
Yes.
My husband on his day off, what you want for breakfast?
No, you're absolutely right. I prayed for mine. And to witness that happen the way I prayed for it, because I do the same for her. It ain't just me. We both in business. You know, I'm going to do the same thing. If I'm in a room and I hear something, oh, baby, here go to such and such a Target. Let me connect you to them. You know what I'm saying? Because I met them and I'm going to introduce you because we've been talking. So it's the same thing. You have to understand what this journey is about being together and understanding the position. Now, if the woman you chose, it's about choices. You chose that woman and now you don't like how she moves or did you have the right conversation with her before you went there?
And she was moving like that on social media when you met her because she slid into your DMs. Let me ask this because it's here. I don't want to hear are we perpetuating the bad bee? because of this fatherless place that we've all been in. We talked about it earlier about what's being poured into the girls and what's being poured into the boys. She may dress like a woman, but she's got all the masculine tendencies. Is that why he's drawn to her? Because I'm sorry, bad bees are still winning.
Right.
The real woman who's coming and doing what we're talking about, the men out there, unfortunately, are intimidated by her.
Yes, I agree. That's
so are we
excellent.
helping perpetuate this because fatherlessness is our norm? Watching a woman in survival mode, but we call it success. Is that normal to us? And are we perpetuating this?
It's the new norm. It is the new norm. I mean, as an educator, I see that in some cases, but to hear about things and have conversations with friends and then read and, listen to podcasts, I'm like, wow, look at what we're becoming. And it's like, I personally, in some cases, I don't like it. I think the family dynamic and structure is almost saying it's done. It almost feels like it. It's like, I'm gonna use an example. When I used to take the train and I just did observation, I'll look and I'll go, how many black men and women on here got a wedding ring on? None. How many Asian, white, Hispanic got a wedding ring on?
Majority of them.
The majority. I said, they're going home to someone. Then I start looking at the faces of the people who are alone. And the hardness of the look of their face, that they just put in hard work. But it's something about knowing that you're going home to a great situation and knowing that your man there or your woman's there. And it's
How about
man,
this? It ain't even that great sometimes. Sometimes it's not that great.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you right now, having a covering and protection beats not having it at all.
And that's the hardest part is, you asked it earlier about having that woman in my space. That's the beauty about the acceptance of understanding that I need her. It ain't I want her. I just want to know I need her. Because in dating, I always said, man, what is it like to be successful and look out there and you can't even say, I want to thank my woman. I want to thank my wife for making the sacrifices or just being the woman I needed in me being right here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling.
But Shawn, what you've got going on is your ego isn't leading the way you lead. Let's say it that way. Your ego is not at the forefront of how you lead and the way that you lead.
No, it's not.
And when that happens, because there's a lot of ego, because men didn't get the development that they needed in order to be in the proper space, in the proper way. They've got a lot of ego.
Yes.
You're demanding. We've heard the conversations, a woman's supposed to submit to a man. A question is who are you submitted to? Because she's got to submit to you when you're submitted to something.
Right.
And a woman submits when she feels safe, loved, and protected.
Absolutely.
Automatically. She has no issues, and we're looking over. She has no issues with submitting when you show up in that way.
No, I agree.
Because when I talk about protection, when I talk about covering, I remember telling a girlfriend just recently, I said, there's nothing like being covered by your husband and protected. And she said, I wouldn't even know what that looked like. I don't even know what that means. And this person has been married. And I'm gonna tell you, it became my prayer for her. It became my ultimate prayer for her.
Right.
Because when you can really know what that's like, which we should have known what it was like from our fathers.
Right, I agree.
We should have known what it was like. And now we're out here in this space dealing with men who have no idea what it looks like to protect. They know how to provide and they think their presence alone, and in some ways it is. Some ways your presence alone is protection. But when you can lead from a place that's not ego-driven and it's partnership-centered, you create a different dynamic in your home. Well, look who just walked in. Okay.
All right now.
We got author Ronika Ward in the building.
All right.
And I know you have something to say about this. I mean, we just talked about this place of protection and women feeling, I felt protected. I feel protected in my marriage. And women don't feel that.
Yeah.
I want you to speak to that.
Oh, absolutely. And, I once was married and I felt that feeling of being protected, just, it's nothing like it. And I think for me, when I was married, that was the most amazing feeling as a woman that I felt, like, man, he got me.
Absolutely.
If anything happens, I don't care whatever happens, you know, he got my back,
Yep.
whatever happens. And it feels so amazing.
Right.
I mean, so many women, you know, don't know what that feels like.
No, I agree.
Like, haven't even experienced
Has
the
no
intimacy
clue.
on that level. I met this lady at, you know, my old job, and she said she's never really been on a date. Like, on a date. You know, on a date. And I was like, oh, I felt so sorry. You know, and she was like, you know, in her mid-40s and never been on a date.
She's been out with men, but how she views a
Yeah.
date, she hasn't gotten that. Her definition of
I
it.
need to hear a little
No.
bit more on that one. But
And
yeah.
a date for me is like, you know, we putting on nice clothes, we're going out to a nice romantic dinner, or whatever it looks like to you, but not just, you know, you coming over and we in each other's home and that's it. No,
Yeah.
like no. But
And she hasn't. So she's not only not felt protection, she's not even felt the love and the intimacy
just even felt the love
that comes from
and
it.
so many women don't even feel the love.
You know why? It goes back to something we said a moment ago, and I want to go back to this right before you came in. Shawn was talking about the partnership and the way they move together, and I said to him, it's because he leads in a different way. He's leading outside of ego. He's not leading from a place of arrogance. He's not leading from a place of entitlement. I'm a man. You're supposed to cater to me like this.
Right.
Speak to that, Shawn, and what that looks like and how you got comfortable being in that space. Have you always been comfortable in that space?
Well, see, here's the deal. When you don't have a man to show you how to lead,
Okay.
so it takes
That part.
leadership. It takes, I mean, you look, we can come up and manufacture all these type of what a man's role is, but if you've never seen it, it's hard to duplicate that. So you got to make all these mistakes to get to the point where I just learned not to do that again, but that didn't work. So there's a lot of mistakes that I had to make to get to the point of understanding that that's not what I want to be. I don't care about what you think or you think. I care about how I make her feel.
Yeah.
And then when I figured that out, it was like, cool. So she's had an opportunity to fall in love with the man that I am because I respect her and I see her dreams too. And so in seeing her dreams, means that I want to see you grow just as much as I want you to see me grow. Now, and if it was just one-sided and you didn't get that back, this is not going to work. I'm going to give you just as much as you give me.
When I grow up in a home that has all of the dynamics, the mother, the father, and even in this situation, you had your grandparents. When I have those dynamics, I learn not only what I'm supposed to do, but how I'm supposed to do it.
Right.
I want you to talk to me really quick, Rosie.
Yeah.
There's this place of, well, he should just know. And why don't he know? Men don't know how to do what it is we're asking them to do.
And let me not just say that, some women don't either.
Boom.
Because I had
True
to
that.
learn that.
True that.
You know, from my first experience in my marriage, like after I left, you know, that marriage, I had to reevaluate myself. Like, it's a lot I could have done differently. It's a lot that I could have poured back into him as well. But, you know, me coming up from what my upbringing, you know, I was more so of a taker than not a giver.
If you don't notice, she from Baltimore.
I'm from Baltimore.
My girl got that Baltimore accent. So she grew up, and we know
what's
a
up.
little bit. Let's just go there in the background, the context of this.
So I grew up, you know, abandoned by my father and my mother and neglected by both parents, being in foster care. So I didn't, but also my great grandparents, I saw the structure with them being in a committed loving relationship. So I saw what that looked like, far as the dysfunction with me and what I had to go through. I didn't know what that looked like because guess what? I never knew how much my dad loved me. You know, and I was always in defense mode, and I was always, you know, I have to, you know, be so strong, and you know, you talking about somebody who's been abandoned and neglected by their parents. So you know, I'm strong-headed. You know, you can't tell me nothing. I think I know everything. And meeting an alpha male, you know, I didn't know how to work with him.
Right,
You know,
right.
I worked.
Yeah, makes sense.
You
It's
know,
harmony.
I didn't
Yes.
work with him. I worked against him.
Absolutely.
But now that I'm out of it, I can look at it and say, like, it wasn't all him. It was me. Like, I had to check myself
Right.
and learn for my next relationship to give as much as I want to be. You know, it's an equal opportunity. And
You said something, Rosie, and
I
I'm
did.
going to ask both of y'all. You said a whole lot right
I
there.
did.
Yeah, she did. She unpacked some stuff.
Is the bad B a defense mechanism?
Oh, you want to hurt me?
Both.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll let
okay,
you
well,
lead
I
in.
would
You on a
say,
roll.
you know, a bad B to me. Let me just give you my definition
Come on.
of a bad B.
Yeah.
So a bad B to me is you're independent. You're a boss. You have your own. You can stand on your own, but also you can cook. You can clean. You can hold the house down. You can manage a household. You can raise kids. You know what that looks like to me
Yeah.
as a bad B.
Yeah.
You know, so I consider myself a bad B
Come
because
on.
I'm the full package.
Yeah.
I am the table.
Okay,
You know,
boom.
so that's what I I feel like a baby is, you know. But I think it's, you know, most women, you know, it is intimidating when you hear that when they not cooking, they not cleaning, when they just waiting on him to come home and give him some money so they can go shopping and go out to eat, but you don't have no groceries in the house. The house not even clean. But you've been here all day, but you just worried about your hair and your nails. So, yeah.
But what makes her a bad B?
So that's what they probably feel like. Oh, you know, their body or what they do sexually.
Because I'm gonna tell you,
know,
those girls are getting dudes.
That's all they feel like. That's
those girls are in, they're in relationships. Those are the Instagram models. Those are the girls that are DMing and getting the relationships. When we watch this stuff play out on social media, because we're watching it play out on social media. Our children are growing up watching it play out on social media. Our children do not want to be successful in the way that we grew up. They want to be a bad B.
There's so many things that I could tear that apart.
Come on, let's be ready.
And honestly, one of them is the social media lies.
Yes,
you can
absolutely.
portray any and everything that you want. I can dictate how I want you to move when it comes to me. So when that bad B who can make it look like she on one ain't really on one. Because she could be sitting right here in this hotel, flossing, balling, taping, then she go to a little place where it's like, you know, I can't wait, you know, to get out of this situation. But you just misled the world because you wanted to. So in misleading people, and that's what happens. We mislead people in directions that we want them to go versus if you heal through your situation, because that's usually my question. I don't care about what I want to know. Have you healed from that situation you went through? Because your bossness and all you do, you still finna come with some flaws that I'm gonna have to unpack. Because if I care enough about you, I gotta make sure that I understand where your problems were. Because when that comes, then I get to help you through it. Because if I care enough about you, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you heal more with me.
But what are we healing? We need to heal this fatherless space, this place of abandonment and rejection that we're so afraid of walking through and working through.
Well, the first problem with that is communication. If you don't share, if you're not willing to share your hurt and your pain with someone that you think you're about to go there with, because that's the first thing. You don't want to tell all your business because you got to be strategic in who knows what, because they can use that power against you until you know what that meaning is when they start to communicate.
That goes into safe space and safe people.
Right. So that's why when I listen to her, I'm like, she has a powerful story of being in a place where both parents, you know what I'm saying? Now, so that's a lot of unpacking. And
a lot to navigate when you get into a marriage situation.
But you said something so important. You said you want to know like where you've been and, you know, how do you get to this point? But so many men don't.
They don't.
So many men don't. They run about what's between those legs and that's it. And how can you benefit me? And that's it. I haven't heard that in a long time.
No, I mean, I say that and I say it all the time because I want to know what I'm about to deal with.
Because and that's because you're mature.
Right, but I'm gonna go to the non-mature dude that was off the chain.
That's what I was about to ask you.
That was like that had women in every area code kind of movement mentality. I was on that. That came from me just
looking for your manhood.
No, well, not necessarily. That was cool. That it was something that okay. This is crazy. You remember the wood?
Yes.
Okay. Excuse my French. I ain't gonna even say it. I'm only gonna cuss because I don't know what Dr. Terry. All right, Torri J over here. All right, the pea pot. You remember the pea pot? You know what the pea pot is? The coochie pot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they call it something else.
Okay. Got you.
So they called it something else then. But growing up around a bunch of boys that was just like me, we wrangled it. Where we talked about, hey, how many phone numbers you get at the party? That movie was so significant. The wood it's like, that was my life. And that's what we did as boys. There was always a competition of just how conquest. How many you get?
But that's part of feeding the ego.
That's the feed. But on top of that, you start to learn, if you take time, that's the healing part that you got to do for you. And I was like, okay, look, it's no longer about that.
Yeah.
I want to feel a different level of happiness. And there's a lot of brothers I know who have gone through divorce, and when we have real men talk, is what I call it, they share that now with me. They be like, bro, I'm tired, dog. You know, this is crazy. I can't find this, that, and I say, but what are you putting out? And see, they put out the energy of not communicating. That's the whole point. When I can get to this here, I'm a mentalist. I let you talk to your mind. That thing downstairs, that's easy. But this right here gonna tell me everything I know before I go there. Because I don't want the drama. At the end of the day, you know, when I find out from here, if I want to be able to deal with your mind, that means I got to deal with everything else that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can think they got it like that, but I'm like, no, but I need to find out where you are here so I can go, all right, and I can share my issues and we can get through it together.
And it goes back to foundation. We all have different foundations here. Even when we started this conversation about Cam Newton, he gave you his foundation, right?
Yeah.
And it comes from a place of foundation. You have to look at your foundation and determine how you want to move in life after realizing that foundation. It's about healing. Maybe there's some healing Cam needs to do because he saw his grandmother be quiet. But maybe, just maybe, we glean from the old, incorporate it in a way in the new, so that we can build, have partnerships. You said it earlier. I need a woman in my space. We need y'all in our space.
Absolutely.
We can't grow and we can't heal without each other. The worst thing I can hear when it comes to my girlfriends is, I don't need a man. I'm good by myself. No, no. You by yourself because you don't want nobody to create no issues and ruffle no feathers and trigger you. That's why you're good. Oh, I just need peace. There's a difference between peace and not having any conflict, or let me say it this way. There's a difference between peace and not having anybody challenge your stuff.
Man,
Come on with the challenge.
Too many of us are cool with being by ourselves because we don't want nobody to challenge us.
Ooh, that was good right there, though. Challenge yourself on that one.
Yeah, that's it.
So I want you to say what you gonna say, because we're gonna wrap this up. Because we got,
Well, let's wrap it up.
No.
First, I would say just the healing piece.
Yeah.
No one really want to do the work. They just move on, and it's, you know, a leopard don't change their spots, only their mate. You know, only their mate. You know, and I say this because it's like, you're not healing, you're not changing anything about you. You're just gonna find somebody else to deal with it. You know, but again, healing is so important on every level. And I need me right here. Oh, she needs a husband. And I know, because I know what that looks like. You know, I watched my great grandparents 35 years together. You know, it was the most amazing feeling that I just, you know, I yearn for to this day. And I'm about to be 40. So I'm like, I know what that looks like.
And that's what Cam Newton said. 36, 37 years of seeing it as well. It's just that, like I told you before, it's the power that came with him as well and who he became. It wasn't just what he saw with his parents. I guarantee you, when a man gets that power, the structure of who he becomes, he can use it to his benefit, or he could add the right sauce to that.
He can use it to manipulate the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Because who he chose, he knew he could manipulate. So if he would have chose that boss, real boss, it would be, can you handle that? Because she is on the move.
Hold up, you just touched something.
You know what I'm saying?
Child, we can't keep, okay, we can keep it going. No, come on, keep it going.
Deep. Oh my goodness, who you chose, he knew. Oh.
Yeah, see,
I believe a lot of men do that.
I know. So,
I know a lot of men who
and
do
not just him, other
men.
men.
Yeah, because we're not gonna make it just about Kim. I keep having to,
other
men
men.
in general know who they can manipulate.
Yeah.
They know who's going to challenge them. They know who's going to create the atmosphere. You guys know. We think we're the smarter ones sometimes in the equation, but I beg to differ. I have seen men. I saw a situation recently.
That was so deep.
I told you.
Let me share this. Ooh, Jesus. I went, sponsored a golf tournament last week in Fort Lauderdale. And I saw this gentleman that I met who got me to the golf tournament. Okay. And I was behind him because I was getting a glass for this OG Kappa. He was like 80-something years old. He was happy he was there and he could walk. And I went and got a glass and I was standing behind this gentleman. And he looked at this girl. She was stunning. You hear me? He don't look that great. He all right. She's stunning. He said, you should have been at the party last night. She was like, I was. He said, I didn't see you. She said, I said hi to you like 3 or 4 times. He said, I didn't see you. She said, I hadn't. She described her outfit to a T. He's asking her about her feet and this. And he was like, I didn't see you. She said, I said hi to you about 4 or 5 times. It went from 3 to 4 to 4 or 5. Right. After she said that, he handed her his phone and said, put your number in it. What he did was he catered to her need to be seen. He manipulated the situation. And I told him later, I said, oh, you good. I said, oh, you good.
You know what he is?
What is he?
He's a mentalist. He understood
you ain't got
because he plays into the mindset. When you study the mind, you understand that everything else comes. And so I understand you're ego-driven because you kept saying it to me. I'm going to pay back what you did physically.
And he knew he saw that girl that night
I'm mess with
before.
you mentally. Now watch this here. I mean, I used to do it all the time with how to play that. That's
I
crazy.
got a lot of male friends, but I had to tell him when I talked to him on the phone, I said, you did that, sir.
Yeah, no,
You
absolutely.
did that.
And
Now,
see,
what you do with that afterwards is the thing. Like, are
Damage
you
her?
going? Yeah.
Because
He's not going to cater to her. He's not going to be there for. That's a part of his game.
Yeah, that was.
But now I'm gonna say this, but there's the problem right here. Because you see all those Instagram girls, they're gorgeous. The ones that you see with all the likes and the views and all that, most of the women are damaged. You know why they damaged? Because the ego man came in and he wanted to see if he can get it. And he got it, and then he started manipulating her, and he snatched all that beauty from her on the inside. That outside's still there, and she ain't felt like how to heal that inside yet, because that's all he saw. She gave me everything that I wanted to see. Me and we're physical.
Yes.
So when I see you shake it, turn around, show it, and I can care about all the little Gucci stuff, but when you show me that body, I done had you mentally already. Now I gotta see if I can get you physically. See, that's what I want to say. They don't understand what they're feeding to us is that I have learned how to get you
got me all
mentally.
in my seat like this.
But now
I'm now, because he ain't lying.
No, because
you're telling the truth.
But watch this. Those same women that say they bad bees, they're hurt bees.
Yes.
Because they
That's why I asked if it was a defense mechanism.
And then you look at the dude that they with, you be like, really, girl?
Really?
But she chose him because he can do things. He had power in being able to do things. She used this weapon to get him, but she didn't realize that weapon finna shoot you. And so there it is.
Okay, we got to wrap this up. Oh my God, what did we learn today? Woo! We learned a bad bee is using her defense mechanisms because she damaged. We learned, it's amazing to have a man who leads, not from a place of ego, but from a place of self-awareness, maturity. That leads a woman into a space of trust. And we also learned foundation is key. Who we are, where we come from, it's key. And Rosie told us, we got to heal. We have to heal the trauma, because when we don't, being a bad bee outside of ourselves, we then find ourselves in competition with the men that we say we love. So I'm Dr. Torri J. This is I've Got Daddy Issues. And next week, we're going to get on the topic. And I know y'all ain't ready for it, but we're going to have this conversation. Run me my money. Is child support really the mama's money, or does it belong to the child? See y'all there.